24 minutes after 11 p.m. Central Africa time. Let's talk all things the growth sessions. And joining us is Torsten Clear Rybka. And Torsten, of course, is here to let us know what will be taking place this Saturday as we experience this platform, this space that allows us to not only feel, think, but also express, find purpose, and of course, the courage to speak. Torsten, thank you so much for joining us. Welcome to African Diaries.
Thank you so much. It's an honor and a privilege to be here.
Growth is a layered word, wouldn't you say?
Indeed, indeed.
And what does this word mean to you?
Growth means to me not only physically, right, but also growth can be found in more ways than one, in a sense of emotional maturity, intellectual heightenedness and awareness. Growth, as you say, it has so many layers and can be unpacked and also put together in so many ways that can define a person beyond who they are physically.
Take us inside Speak Child. What was the movement? What is the movement presently about? And essentially, who are we referring to?
So this is my baby that I started 10 years ago. So Speak Child is for the child who wants to speak but doesn't have a place to even voice out their concerns, especially through, if they can't literally say it, but they can use the medium of poetry to express themselves. So it has been considered as home away from home, where us poets would come together, have workshops, break bread through poetry, learn from one another, grow in the essence of poetry itself, find ourselves also in the medium of poetry, but also it is, as I say, it's home away from home. And also it helps one to find themselves and also to stem away from the usual norms of what society says about the youth, where it's about alcohol, it's about going to parties and all these things, right? And there's more to life than that, but also in literature, these us as poets also find ourselves grounded, and we get to learn more about life, about ourselves, etc., etc.
Torsten, I want to know if poetry sessions appeal to greater audiences outside poets. And I'm saying this for the outsider who, in their mind, poetry is rhyming, okay? So the fat, mad cat, bat, woohoo. That's where their headspace is. And so do the nuances of slam sessions, of poetry sessions, do they speak to other audiences as well?
It's not all. That's what Speak Child is all about, right? The foundations of it all is to understand the nitty-gritties of poetry itself. And it's not about rhyming alone, but there's such things as learning about alliteration. There's also paradox. There's also things as personification. I'm also getting to learn more about literature devices such as polytoton, there's metaphor, and all of those things, right? But also we write based on not only personal experiences, but we're also trying to appeal to the world at large. For instance, I have a poem about Palestine that I've written in 2018 that is also out on Spotify. I've spoken about homeless people, for people who don't have that large voice or don't have a voice to speak on their behalf. So us as poets try by all means to reach out in that medium of poetry to speak for people who don't have a voice to speak for themselves, people who are very, if I may say, introverts, who keep things bottled inside of themselves. So we are the ones who are brave soldiers, if I may say so, with the pen to go out and say what we need to say for ourselves, but also for the world at large.
Torsten, by the end of this conversation, you're going to be giving us poetry or slam session etiquette. Yeah?
Okay.
Because I notice there are things that happen and I'm like, I'm not with the crowd here. I want to clap very hard. that time everybody's twiddling their thumbs. There's a lot that happens when you attend these sessions. And so I want you to
Yes.
give us a crash course on that. For now, let's talk about you balancing being both the host and a performer. And I mean this
Okay.
in the sense that you are helping those navigate onto stage and off stage, but also you are somebody who brings about these kinds of offerings. How are you toggling between the two?
I try by all means to separate the two, right? On literally separating the two, because I am one person that when I have my energy entirely focused on my performance, I have it entirely there. And then when I'm in a position where I have to do my hosting skills, that's where my all my energy is there, because I have a what can I say, a pre-game plan type of a thing where I take notes, especially when I host. I'd maybe like, okay, who am I going to introduce next? I need to know a bit of their background, and also maybe enter some humor here and there, because whenever I host, I also like insert some puns, some dead jokes, and all these things just to lighten up the mood, because poetry can be very intense, right? But when it comes to poetry, when I have to do my performance, that's when I do a pre-game routine where I go through my poems. I do breathing exercises. I make means to even focus on the poems. I make sure the set of poems that I've selected on that day are going to go accordingly and will set the mood, and also will reach out to the masses that are all at this event, and also it'll appeal to them, and also it'll relate to them. So I don't like to merge both hosting and performing at the same time or at the same venue, because it tends to be very demanding and very draining. But if I were to do both, maybe I would insert a poem in between the hosting, just to make up time if there is something that is lagging, just to hold the crowd together. But yeah, I prefer to have them separate. Yes.
Absolutely. Torsten, I'm going to give you an opportunity to walk us through a few things about your pre performance ritual. We're going to talk about that in just a short bit. If you've just joined us, this is the voice of none other than Torsten Clear Rybka joining us. He behind the growth sessions taking place this Saturday, the 28th of March 2026 at the State Theatre. If you want to send through your questions, perhaps you have some, or maybe just a statement, find us on WhatsApp +278 3288 6684. I see some commentary coming in here. Mutube Media saying, I love poetry with all my heart. I started writing when I was 17 and got published by the Sowetan at 18. I think that is exceptional. Continue to send through your commentary. We'd love to hear from you this evening. Torsten, you said to us that you have almost like a pre-game kind of workout, you know? There's sharpening the mind, there's edging yourself for what is to come. I often think about poems that are sad. Say you're in a good mood. Say it's your birthday. You are in the best of moods. You got all the gifts you want and more. And yet you have to
Yeah.
go and deliver that poem on Palestine. How do you reframe the energy? How do you reframe the emotions?
Yeah, that's a heavy question. That's a heavy question.
Yeah.
Um, so I try to be a writer that balances everything out, right? I don't write about sad poems only, right? There's also techniques of how to do about it. That's why I try by all means to write a variety of poems. Like it can be a sad love poem, it can be a happy love poem, it can be um, a poem that is miscellaneous, which might cover an array of topics in one poem. Um, Maybe happy poems where I had a happy time somewhere. I try to balance it all, but knowing that poetry is such a healing medium, um, people might think that we poets are depressed, right? Because we always talk about bad things and all these things and whatnot. I think poetry also dips us poets into the pool of being empaths, where we feel the next person, what they're going through, and we translate that pain, that energy into a poem, and then we would even shed that skin off stage, right? So that's why when is it my birthday? Okay, as an example, at my birthday,
Yes.
people would be like, yes, I would like to have that poem about Palestine and everything. Then I have to like immediately tap into that energy of like, okay, I'm delivering the poem about Palestine, knowing that there's bombs happening there and all these things and whatnot. Yeah, that's why I have to like easily tap into it. It also, it's you have to train yourself to get into that mood and getting into that vibe and all those things. So it depends on the mood, it depends on the setting, it depends on the people that you're delivering the work to. But yeah, I try by all means to find that common ground, that common balance, so that when it's situations like birthdays, I know how to deliver a poem for that. And I've been in situations where I've been asked to deliver a poem at a funeral, and I do have like a poem about death, and also I try to strike a balance as much as possible.
Sure, now we have to hear something. Pella, you just opened our eyes, our ears, and all of that of our understanding to the reality that you're so, I suppose, multifaceted in your writing, and we want to hear that. So, just after you give us the etiquette of the performance, and us watching as an audience how we're supposed to behave and take the session in, you're going to give us a poem. Yes? Can I challenge you with the poem?
Right now.
Yes, I have to challenge you. We have to hear it. I mean, you've
Okay,
enticed me.
okay, I'm up for the challenge.
All right. So you
Okay.
seem like you're in a very good mood, right? Happy
Okay.
days. Do you
Mhm.
have a sad poem about the state of Mjolo? Because the state of Mjolo is a lot.
Mm. Okay, I do. And funny enough, I'm putting a production together that'll be on stage soon
Yeah.
that is titled Love is War. So this whole production is about a boy who's been heartbroken and has been single for years now and has been comfortable in being single. And then the mother is playing Cupid, trying to, get somebody to be part of his life and all these things. And then yeah, so there's a poem of mine that I titled Battlefield, but my mentees were like, no, this is not the one. This is not, it shouldn't be titled like this. It should be titled Run. So I don't know, should I recite it now?
In actual fact, let's do this. Let's go through the no.
Okay, okay,
Let's
okay,
go through the show etiquette so
okay,
that as we're listening to you do the poem, right?
okay, okay,
We can respond accordingly. Now, for those who have
okay,
never been to a session before, they have never sat down and witnessed poetry or spoken word or the sessions of those sort before.
okay.
Let's talk about the etiquette. What are some of the things we should know? I know we don't clap with our hands. I know we bring our
No.
fingers together. You know, we bring our fingers together. That's how we clap. Walk me through how do we behave when we're watching this?
um, so I've heard recently that overseas when they have sessions, right, it's like dead silent. It's dead silent. There's no responses. There's nothing of the sort. But in South Africa, especially in Gauteng, we go crazy for poems. We go crazy for performances. We go mad crazy. So there's tidbits that we've picked up from American poets and all these things when they came through to South Africa to visit, right? So the usual etiquette of responding to poems is finger snaps, right? We're used to that. We know that. And then there's one called the giraffe. When you resonate with a line, you do the giraffe. You do sort of like a hand signal like this. And then there's also the chocolate sound where you go, hmm. And then there's one also where it's called the sizzle, where you know that sound when you throw onions in a very, very hot pan and you go, it's that sound.
Aha.
But even beyond that, you can do finger snaps, you can do hand claps, go crazy, make sounds, whistle, and do all this. Like anything and everything is accepted. Yeah.
Absolutely. Now that you've conscientized us, we are ready for you. Okay. What I'm going to do is I'm going to give you a moment. I'm going to actually try and steal 2 minutes so that you can just put yourself together. Let me remind you that you are currently tuned into African Diaries, and joining us is none other than Torsten Clear Rybka, who is behind this beautiful piece that will be coming together this Saturday, the 28th of March, the Growth Sessions. If you want to send through your commentary, please do find us on WhatsApp. The number is +27 832886684. Listen, if you want to send in the sizzle or the chocolate sound, you're more than welcome to do so. We want to hear from you. Again, that number +27 832886684. For now, a quick breather. It is 19 minutes before the show comes to an end. We are still in conversation with Torsten Clear Rybka joining us. He behind the Growth Sessions taking place this Saturday, the 28th of March at the State Theatre in Pretoria. Torsten, we are ready for you. I hope that was enough time to have, that pre-game session with yourself. Are you now ready for us?
I am ready. Let's go.
Take it away.
Okay. Darling, if you want to live a long life without any regrets, with your feelings to never articulate the words should have, maybe, or if only I did this or that, I suggest that you don't come near me, or else your eyes will get easily crippled. Your touch might start to smell like hell, and your words will taste like a constant nightmare. For I am fighting demons that I love to go to war with every single day. My mind, body, and soul are a country that have turned into a battlefield that knows nothing but death. My body has stretch marks that have become borders, and I need a passport to gain access to myself. A body that has been divided into parts that have become foreign lands to me. My mind is a ticking time bomb that is ready to explode through my mouth, and my thoughts just roam around me, ready to drop missiles at any given time. My soul is a drill sergeant instructing me where I should point and aim my pain. It teaches me to strike by any means necessary for the sake of tasting blood and flesh. So, my darling, I am asking you to run. I don't want you to plant bullets on your tongue in order for them to replace your taste buds, nor do I want you to become a war zone all in the name of loving me. Imagine watering a flower that only smells like emotional suicide. Imagine risking it all for something that doesn't feel like forever. My heart only has room for lungs that have said goodbye to breathing. The silver lining in the sky is too crooked for me to believe that heaven does exist. I am a country that is only civil when it lights up to be a battlefield, a place where the only word I know how to spell very well is survive. I don't want your smile to be a prisoner of this war. Flee this country before you are considered as an illegal immigrant, my dear love. I beg of you, before your love for me starts to drip in blood, before your bones hate the sound of my name, before your lips suffocate from kissing me, and before my ancestors warn you about me, darling, run.
Yo, I know. Torsten, that's not Mjolo anymore. No, I refuse. What? Hey, what happened? What inspired that poem?
So, so there's a thing called, I don't know if a lot of people know, there's a thing called philophobia, right? Philophobia is the fear of love, plain and simple, right? So a person can have the fear of love, not wanting to become romantic, don't want to be in a relationship and all these things, right? So I'm inspired by the fact that, okay, I've had such experiences myself before, right? And that stems from that, but also I know we are living in an era when Mjolo is such an organized chaos where we want it to be in a specific way, but we don't want it to be in a specific way. We want it with a certain person, but this person needs to be like somebody else and all these things. And it's just a whole Greek salad that is just, So that is the inspiration behind it. And also, as I said, I'm putting together a production titled Love is War. This poem will be part of it. But also, the whole production is about love, trying to navigate yourself in love and finding the right person, but also finding yourself and being able to love yourself, to love the next person as well. Yeah.
Yo, listen, I'm at the edge of my seat. I'm live on TikTok currently. And someone was like, oh, he's still talking about Njolo. I was like, listen, I had bones. I said, prisoner, what's going on? But that was beautiful. That was exceptional. We cannot wait to see you perform that piece. But before we talk about that which is to come, let's talk about the 28th. For those who want to get their tickets, where do they find you?
The tickets are going for, you can get in for free for 120 rands only, just 120 rands, right?
Absolutely.
So you can either get them online via web ticket, or you can go to your nearest Pick and Pay store, buy them over the kiosk, or you can come to the South African State Theatre, buy them physically at our boxed office. Yes.
Lovely. And Torsten, before we lose you, before those who are saying, listen, I want to keep up with the life and times of Torsten Clear, where do they find you on social media?
Social media, Torsten Clear Rybka on Facebook. I am Torsten Clear Rybka, or Clear as Fire at Instagram. I am Clear as Fire, small caps, straight up on TikTok. But also, to those who saw the poster, they can type out my name exactly like that, and then Google will give them everything from my social media pages to the work that I've done online, your Spotify's, your iTunes, and all these things. And also, I think it'll also navigate them towards what I've been doing for Speak Child and the growth sessions at the South African State Theatre.
That is lovely. Torsten, this has been an absolute pleasure as we try and recover from that deadly relationship situation. Thank you so much for joining us. All the best with the 28th, yeah?
Thank you. I receive. And thank you for having me. And thank you very much.
The voice there of Torsten Clear Rybka joining us this evening. He behind the growth sessions taking place on the 28th of March 2026. That's this Saturday at the State Theatre.